Hello and welcome. I'm excited to be here via video and share with you a little bit of my story. And I'm also going to be sharing today 3 things that are the most impactful things that I do on my end as a patient from a patient perspective: behavior analysis, strategy, and healing. So, those 3 things I will be touching a little bit on after I ultimately share just a small piece of my story with you today. Let's get started. So, I just want to tell you a quick story. I believe I'm here today because I believe I was diagnosed with cancer because I have a purpose. Now, I'm not sure what that whole purpose is yet, but I believe someone in this room maybe can learn something from me to help someone else today. So, right now, I want to do this little activity. I want you to raise your hand if you know someone that has ever died from cancer. Now, leave that hand up in the air. The next group, I want you to raise your hand if you've had a family member be diagnosed or affected by cancer in some way, shape, or form. Leaving them up again. Look around the room. I'm sure the numbers are starting to increase. And third, if you have a friend or a neighbor diagnosed or affected by cancer, raise your hand once again. Now look around the room for the last time. I'm sure the numbers have increased yet again. The reason why I'm asking you this today is because I'm asking you not only to listen as a medical professional, but every time you step into this room, listen also as a family member, a friend, a spouse, a loved one to the words that I'm sharing. Because maybe I won't impact your medical journey, but maybe I will impact your personal journey one day. It's November 2022, and it's when I first talked to the nurses about it. You know, the nurses that ask 100 questions prior to your appointment, the same questions every time to ask about your signs or symptoms. That's the one. That's the first time I shared that I was having floaters. My question was, though, was the floaters because of my treatment? I'm thinking possibly it's because of my infusion from my stage 4 subcutaneous melanoma. Not really thinking it's related. I'm just thinking it's a sign or a symptom, not thinking ocular melanoma. So no one paid attention to it. December rolls around, same thing. No one pays attention to it. January rolls around. Now, the frequency and the duration of the floaters begin to increase. November, when it started, it was a morning here, a morning there. Now, it's every single morning I'm waking up with floaters. Maybe times throughout the day, floaters. So the frequency increase, the duration increase. Now, I'm not only waking up with floaters, but I'm still having floaters when I'm in the shower. So I start to do one of these. Okay, which eye is seeing the floaters? So now I've identified that my right eye is the eye that's seeing the floaters because I'm not having it when I cover my left eye. So 2 doctors, 2 oncologists tell me really nothing to worry about. So I schedule a doctor's appointment with my optometrist. When I do this, the body language gave it away because it was the moment she dropped her shoulders, tone of voice changed a little bit, hands in the lap, slow roll backwards of the chair, different from the way we laughed and joked at the start of the conversation. So it was in this moment that I knew. And then she delivered the news she would make a referral based on a freckle she found in my right eye, the eye that I suspected, and I've been taking data on the frequency and duration of the floaters. So I got my referral to Ohio State, and February 8th, 2023 was the day I was diagnosed by Ohio State for ocular melanoma. I received my diagnosis on February 8th. My plaque radiation was scheduled for March 23rd, but the backstory is I started obsessing over this diagnosis. I looked at medical publications. I listened to over 40 episodes of A Cure in Sight, from patient to patient, doctors, different things that they had and information. I was on YouTube watching patients' videos about the process. I watched videos on YouTube about the enucleation. Anything you can think of, I was looking at it. So it brought me really to the decision that if I was going to lose my eyesight, I was going to lose my eyesight on my terms, not on cancer's terms. I was going to lose my eyesight now, and I was going to move on with my life. I'm not going to worry about having the radiation plaque therapy and then needing eye treatments to try to keep the eye healthy, and worried about 2 years down the line, am I going to lose my eyesight, and drawing out the whole process. That cancer was not going to decide when I would lose it. I was going to decide when I was going to lose it. So I reached out to my team via my chart to let them know that I was thinking about this. So when I got to my appointments later that month, towards the end of the month, we had the conversation, and ultimately we decided to go with the enucleation. And in the moment that we made that decision, this feeling of relief came over me. This feeling of I was in the driver's seat, not cancer, and that this was the way to go for me. Not everybody, but me. This was the way to go to me, to move on and forward with my life and be able to heal in a faster way. I talked about tracking the frequency and duration, but looking at how behavior analysis really supported me in my journey and really impacted me, I think about that piece of it because I knew when to go to the doctor. I knew when I needed support because the symptoms continued. The next piece is it helped me with antecedent strategies. So my mind was so focused on preparation for the enucleation. I was going through my house, I was changing light bulbs, I was putting glow strips on the doorways so at nighttime if I woke up and it was dark, I might not bump into the walls. I did it at eye level. I turned carpet upside down. I turned yellow lights into white lights. I added lights in different places. I put motion lights in the hallways. I put grip on my staircase so that I made sure that if it was slippery and I missed a step via my depth perception, I put lights outside my house. So all of these antecedent strategies were important. So that was behavior analysis, the frequency, the duration, knowing that these strategies would then help me once my surgery had ended and I felt ready. That's how behavior analysis impacted me for my surgery. Next were strategies for emotional regulation. I rolled into surgery knowing I was going to wake up without a right eye, and I did not have to have any medication for calming, relaxation. I handed out thank you cards to all of the surgical team in the operating room because of all of the strategies I worked on to be able to get control of my emotions. Deep breathing, journaling, yoga, anything you can think of. But patients need to be coached in that they have control over their emotions. You don't need to, you need to live in those emotions sometimes, but there are times where we tend to get into that anxiety feeling and feeling anxious, but all of this preparation and emotional regulation could help support the mental health of a patient. Healing is one of the final pieces of the whole enucleation process. And for me, it was knowing that a regular prosthesis, a look-alike eye, pretending to be a two-eyed person when I'm not a two-eyed person anymore, is the final piece of my healing. Being able to look at myself in the mirror and love who I am and be who I am. I'm a monocular vision. I'm a person with a visual impairment. I am a monocular girl, whatever you want to call me. But knowing that that is part of the healing, I think spending the time to research the ocularist and know the kind of prosthetic that you want, knowing, do you want the same? Do you want it to look like? Do you want a blue one? Do you want a purple one? Do you want a green one? Do you want a gold one? Knowing that the gold in my eye right now is a symbol that I can find a gold nugget in every challenge that I face is all a part of the healing, and recognizing that for patients is truly an important piece of the process.